This is the I Am a Mainframer podcast, brought to you by the Linux Foundation's Open Mainframe project. Episodes explore the careers of mainframe professionals and offer insights into the industry and technology. Now, your host, Senior Analyst and Vice President of Sales and Business Development at Futurum Research, Steven Dickens.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the I'm a Mainframer podcast. I'm your host, Steven Dickens, and I'm joined by Jessielaine from Dynatrace. Or should I say Jelly?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. Jelly's fine. It's my nickname, so you can call me Jelly.
So this is your second time on the podcast. So we're going to make you famous on this. So I think we spoke during the pandemic about some of the work you're doing on COBOL, but let's kind of dive in first here. Let's get some introductions, tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do, and we'll use that as a jumping off point.
Yeah, sure. So I I came from the Philippines. I originally had my first job is actually a COBOL programmer. So originally out of graduation, I started off with Mainframe. As a programmer trainee, I trained with COBOL. I worked with COBOL with a green screen and stuff like that. And then I guess after 3 years, I moved to Singapore as a COBOL consultant. And then like I, and then after that I worked in IBM in Czech Republic, transferred to Czech Republic as a mainframe support engineer. And then I worked with Broadcom, moved to Prague, and there I worked with mainframe modernization. And that was the time that you first interviewed me. I worked with Zoe Explorer. I'm part of the open source open mainframe project. I'm working with Zoe Explorer. I'm a tech lead there. And then after that part, I moved to Austria, which is now my job. And I'm still working with mainframes. I'm working for Dynatrace, which is a observability platform. And there they have an observability for mainframe, and that's where I come in. I do the support there.
So we travelled around the world there in a
Yeah.
few sentences. We're recording this episode to coincide with the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I've got to take you back. Take me back to the Philippines. How you kind of started that journey, and I lost track of how many countries you mentioned. I think I heard Prague. I think a whole bunch of places there in your journey. So maybe let's just unpack that a little bit, and then we'll get back to the COBOL and Dynatrace and the kind of observability piece, because I've got some questions there as well.
Of course. So in the Philippines, right out of college, I was looking for a job, and there was this local bank. They're looking for programmer trainees because normally COBOL is not taught in the schools, and so they said that they will have a programmer trainee where they will teach the students or who wants to join COBOL. And when I joined, I don't know anything about COBOL.
So you started completely blank, no
Exactly.
knowledge,
No
literally
knowledge.
the first opportunity to jump on to one of these platforms and kind of get going.
Exactly. Yes, zero knowledge. It's like I know about Pascal, I know about C, I know how it looks like, but COBOL is like something that I have nothing. I have no knowledge about it. And there was this great mentor that I have. I call her Miss Lisa. She was really, really good. I am impressed with her because she typed really fast, and she's just doing some sort with JCL and then running it and then showing us that this is how you do sort in COBOL or in JCL, and then showed us some COBOL program, some simple things. And that really fascinated me because I realized that COBOL is so easy, let's say, in comparison to Java. And it's like just using display. If I want to display something, if I want to go to somewhere, you do this, you perform this. So I liked it so much that I said, hey, I want to pursue this. I want to go to the mainframe department, and I want to do COBOL. And so they hired me as part of the current account. So since it's a bank, we are part of the current account department.
So I think there's something. I'll jump in there. I think there's something interesting that I don't want to lose before we move on. there's a lot of talk about languages, Java, Python, what insert cool language into this. And there's this kind of stigma, if you will, about COBOL. But I'm
Mm,
really fascinated if you just didn't come in with those preconceptions. You just got onto what was probably a green screen, got
mm.
into a sort of IDE type environment on maybe on a mainframe, could have been quite clunky, and just went, I'm going to judge this on what I see, and found COBOL a bunch of fun. You'd maybe worked on other languages before, but found it a bunch
Yeah.
of fun. I think a lot of people are kind of saying things about that in the industry. I think your personal experience is really fascinating for me about you just jumped on, no
Yeah.
preconceptions, found the language super easy to learn,
Mhm.
working for a bank straight out of college, probably a great job straight out of college if it was working for a bank as a junior COBOL programmer. I think that's a really fascinating story. We have a lot of students watch the show who are thinking about their first career move. I think that lack of preconceptions is really vital. Am I capturing that right? Am I thinking about it right based on what you said?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, there's a lot of preconception that they, as in my experience, they find mainframe very scary. I don't know why. When I try, maybe because it's unknown, nobody's
Hmm.
teaching it. It's cool, so like it's something. um Maybe it's like they said that it's very important, so maybe it's like a lot of pressure for them that they don't want to make a mistake. And then there are, let's say, the resources are, maybe they, it's not easy for them to get it, it's hard to find. So that's maybe the preconception. But when I tried it out in college, when there was an opportunity for me to do it, I really loved it because I feel like it's like I'm playing a game, like that old games where you just, I don't know. It's like
Playing
eight
Tetris
pixel
or
game.
Asteroid or
Yes,
something like
something
that.
like
Yeah.
that. Like
I'm showing my
it
age
makes
now, but yeah.
exactly, like it makes you think, and it makes you be so resourceful. That's what I like about it. That's why I describe my mainframe experience as something like um doing art. It's like being an artist because you become very resourceful. You think a lot of ways on how to do it because sometimes, like, if you do, let's say, JavaScript, there are a lot of packages available there. You don't really know what's going on in those packages, but with mainframe you need to understand how it works, and that's what I love about it.
Hmm.
I need to understand each and every step so that I could support it, or I could do something with it. And yeah, I guess that's maybe that's more about me, rather than, I don't know.
So, I
That's what
mean,
I see.
you touched on something there that's interesting. You touched on people think there's maybe pressure. You're a junior programmer working at a bank. How did you find that experience? Because I'm assuming that the team you went into was pretty established professionals,
Yeah.
long tenure in the company. Here's me giving some of the preconceptions. Was that how supportive did you find that environment when you landed?
I have a very great support
Hmm.
during that time. I have a great mentor. The team is amazing. Most Sometimes they scare me, like, like if I did something and then it, let's say, it blinked, and then they're gonna say, "What did you do? What did you do?" And then I was really new, and I said, "I
You
don't know.
broke
What
the
did I
bank.
do?"
You broke the bank
Yeah,
with your
like
code.
the cursor is blinking. What have you done? And I said, "I don't know." And it was really really scary. But it's just, I didn't do anything. It's just normal that the cursor is. So sometimes there are things like that, but after some, they have supported me so much,
Hmm.
um because they wanted me to learn. And so it's like my my journey as a mainframe developer is so fun because I have a lot of seniors who are willing to teach me, who are very generous in sharing their knowledge.
And that's a consistent theme that
Yeah,
I hear from. I
exactly.
speak to a lot of junior professionals on the show. We've had a whole bunch of them on, and I think them, and I go to share every year, a couple of times a year. I can't think of a more supportive community for early professionals than the mainframe. You're embraced. They see you as the future, the steward of the platform. That when they retire, they want to infuse you with those skills and the knowledge and and the passion for the platform as well.
Exactly.
I think
I think that's it.
it comes across, it's palpable, I think. It comes across from my interviews, it comes across from my
Mm,
in-person interactions. Everybody's kind of trying to drag the next generation of mainframers along with them for the ride.
yeah. I agree with you. It's the passion because you have a choice to get out of mainframe. I mean, it's your choice to do a lot of technology, like modern technology out
Yeah.
there. But me, I'm choosing mainframe because I like it. It's basically a passion of mine to just handle mainframe. So I guess that's why we're very supportive of each other because this is our choice. And if somebody's let's say having an interest in this, you want them to see the beauty of mainframe.
I certainly feel that. So we started in the Philippines. You started your path as a junior COBOL developer for a bank in
Mhm.
the Philippines. You ran through a whole bunch of countries very quickly there. I think I heard Prague. I heard at
Yeah.
least somewhere else in Europe. Maybe let's just touch on that piece and then we'll get to Dynatrace.
So the beauty about mainframe when I started out, they said that it's something well they call it a dinosaur, but it's something that in demand.
Mhm.
I'll use the word in demand, and so I could go places,
Yeah.
and they are right. Like after 3 years of working, I was able to go to Singapore, and then after that, I was able to go to Czech Republic, which is Brno, and then Prague, and then now I'm in Austria.
And was it your skill at COBOL on your mainframe that was the ticket for that ride? Is that
Yes, yes. So it's mainly because I went to Asia or to Singapore mainly because of COBOL. I was able to go to Czech Republic because of the general mainframe knowledge because I was doing support at that time. And then I went to Prague because of that IBM knowledge that I gained from IBM, the system, mainframe system knowledge.
I
And
think
it's the
I
same
mean
with
that's
Dynatrace.
fascinating for me that you're able to do Philippines to the Singapore to the Czech Republic, two couple of different jobs in the Czech Republic, all because you've got this one skill that's in demand.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Which is, for me, it's mind blowing because I heard that mainframe's dead. You can't have any jobs there, but it's not true. I actually got a lot of jobs, and I was in demand, and there are a lot of countries who are looking for employees. Who's willing to pay me to be there.
And
So yeah.
it'd be interesting to get your perspective. We see my personal sort of hypothesis is that if you're a college kid and you can go out and fight tens of thousands of other students to be a Java programmer, or you can go out and fight tens of other people to find a job in COBOL, which is going to pay more? Have you got any sort of ability to validate you obviously graduated, you probably got some friends in
Mm,
college, you're a few years into your career now. Have you seen that trajectory versus kind of where the rest of the graduating class was?
I'm just maybe I'm referencing, let's say, the Glassdoor pay.
Hmm.
If I check that and I compare it with my salary, I'm gonna say maybe above the medium line.
Hmm.
You know, and they normally pay me that, or that's my asking rate. Basically, they're giving me my asking rate simply because, well, I have a skill that it's not known for everybody. And I think as an Asian who wants to go, let's say, to Europe or even America, they are willing to support my visa as well, which is something hard, you know, because here in Europe, you need to prove that nobody has the skill before you can have a
It's the same
visa.
in the US. I mean, I just
Yeah,
celebrated 10 years in the US. As part of the visa process for me to get my green card, I had to demonstrate I had a unique skill. The unique
yeah,
skill I had
exactly,
was knowledge of the mainframe. It sounds like that's exactly the same unique skill you were able
exactly.
to demonstrate to do, what is that, two or three different job moves in different
Mhm.
countries.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a real, for me, it's a real advantage, and that's a good thing that I could share with others who's thinking of, like, I don't know, going to IT in general.
So let's start to wind forward. There's a lot going on with the hotel space with regard to the mainframe.
Mm,
Think a lot. I track a lot of the observability vendors. I'm off out to Splunk's conference in a few weeks' time. I've been briefed by the team at Dynatrace and a bunch of others. BMC's got observability tools here. There's a whole bunch of these guys kind of focused in on this space. I think what we're seeing with the OTel community, and I know some of the work the Open Mainframe project's doing to kind of collaborate with the OTel community, and I'm assuming that's where you're sort of plugged in. But what's that connection with Dynatrace? Maybe just expand, if you would, Jelly, for me.
Yeah, of course. So Dynatrace is a observability platform. I'm gonna talk about in mainframe perspective in general. So they do have um, a feature where they could actually get metrics and traces or infrastructure monitoring information from the mainframe itself,
Mm-hmm.
and then display it into the Dynatrace UI, which is it's not a normal 3270 screen. It's like a website. And the beauty of the beauty of Dynatrace is that it's all in one UI. Where let's say if you're a bank and you have mainframe but you have other things, you can monitor it in one UI. So that's the advantage of it. With in regards to OpenTelemetry, I agree with you. There's a lot of buzz around there, and Dynatrace is definitely interested in it because I believe personally that if we have OpenTelemetry for mainframe, we can get more information. Because right now, what Dynatrace is doing is a real-time um, data information. So what kicks, IMS, DB2, it's from mobile to mainframe. So if you access your mobile, let's say you view your account information to the mobile application, and then it goes to a DB2 call, you can see all of those traces, that end-to-end observability trace in the Dynatrace UI. What they don't have is the batch. So if we have OpenTelemetry and the customers can, use OpenTelemetry, they could actually create their own Dynatrace apps so that they could also monitor their mainframe batch. And that's what I'm excited about, and I'm looking forward to that.
And is that where you're working with the Open Mainframe project on that kind of open telemetry connection point between
Mhm.
Dynatrace and that sort of mainframe classic kind of environment? Is that the work you're doing in the open source community?
So far, yes. I mean, with OpenTelemetry right now, in a very early stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to be part of it. At least I want to be informed about it. And then, as time goes by, I hope that I'll be more involved in how to have more monitoring or observability in terms of OpenTelemetry and Open Mainframe project.
So that can
I
be.
want I wanted I actually wanted to connect OpenTelemetry and Zoe. That is my ultimate goal. Personally, that's my ultimate goal, and we'll see.
I think that's a fantastic goal. So that gives me a great segue. I've asked you these questions before, but maybe we're a few years on now, so I'll ask you these questions again. I always ask them of all my guests because it pulls out some great answers. So there's two questions. First question is, you go back to your 21, 22-year-old self, you're starting out in the Philippines. Based on what you've seen over the last few years, what would you go back and tell yourself? What would you go back to young Jelly and say, this is what you should know?
I think I'm gonna tell myself that you know, number one, I want to tell myself that I need to be patient and as well as to trust my gut. Because I have great decisions, or at least I I have great instincts, and I should follow that and don't doubt it. And the thing that I would suggest to know is to be, let's say, more involved in open source. Because I was involved in open source later in my career.
Yeah.
And, I think it would be nice to be part of it when it was starting so that I have more knowledge. Let's say I have a hybrid knowledge in terms of open source and as well as mainframe because it's really fun. I love open source a lot and I love contributing in that space. So it was really, really fun for me.
Fantastic. Second question I ask, and it's going to be really interesting. I'm going to go back and watch the other episode, compare your answers. So no pressure. But where do you see the mainframe platform maybe 3 years from now? You've
Mm,
got a fantastic global perspective.
mm,
Working for somebody I would say is not a mainframe vendor specifically. I think if we were to do a poll of who's a mainframe vendor, everybody's going to know who Dynatrace is, but maybe they're not going to say like a Rocket Software or a BMC or a
Mm.
Broadcom or an IBM. They're not going to instantly associate. So if you've got a fantastic perspective, where do you see the mainframe maybe 3 years from now, maybe 3 to 5 years?
3 to 5 years from now, I see the mainframe um, being more, let's say, involved with, how do I say it? Like being more involved or improving more with integrating with modern tools.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. Especially for me who works with Zoe, with Dynatrace in general, doing APIs. I think with the REST APIs right now, I think it's very nice to integrate it with mainframe. And with that, I would love it. I would love to see that it would, a lot of companies right now, a lot of vendors will have their own mainframe support. Because there are a lot of tools that you can use, and there are a lot of scenarios that you can do with mainframe. Um, and I would love a lot of modern companies to be involved in that. That's what I wanted. And I also hopefully I also wanted, like, more interaction with a modern UI in terms in mainframe, because that's what Open Mainframe Project is doing, right? It's like a candy wrapper for mainframe.
Yeah.
And so I wanted that to grow more and to have, let's say, to spread more in a lot of areas in IT.
Fantastic. Jelly, it's been great to have you on the show again.
Oh, thank
Always
you so
welcome
much
to
for
come
having
back.
me.
I think we're going to be chatting again in the future. You're doing some fascinating work. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode where we're celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islanders for part of the Heritage Month there. So really appreciate you coming on the show. Fantastic to talk to you again.
Thank you so much. It's really, really great to talk to you. Have a great day.
So you've been watching another episode of the I'm a Mainframer podcast. I'm your host, as always, Steven Dickens. Please click and check out the other episodes. Go back and watch Jelly's previous episode for sure, so you can check in on her journey. We'll see you next time, and thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for tuning in to I Am a Mainframer. Liked what you heard? Subscribe to get every episode, or watch us online at openmainframeproject.org. Until next time, this is the I Am a Mainframer podcast. Insights for today's mainframe professionals.